Hey, witches!
Hi, hello. Welcome back to another episode of True Crime.
Yeah. So, this episode releases on Saturday, which is like the 15th.
Yes.
Yeah. Which is 2 days before St. Patrick's Day. So, I picked a true crime case that happened on St. Patrick's Day in 1981. This is a cold case. This case has not been solved. So if you're hoping for a neat, tidy resolution with a bow on it at the end, that's not going to happen here. But I will give you the tip line and all of that at the end of the episode in case you have any knowledge about this case. So we're going to talk today about Marlene Hayes. Unfortunately, and I'm going to kind of get on a soapbox about this because it's frustrating, and with older cases, it kind of happens a lot, especially if they're not as high profile cases. There's not a lot of information about Marlene Hayes as a person. I know she was married. She was 38 years old when she died. She was married and had at least one son, but I got the feeling from the articles I read that there was more, there were more children. And that's really frustrating because I feel like if the murderer had been caught, there would be tons of information about that murderer, and there would be all kinds of information about their family and their past and all of that. And I couldn't find any. I couldn't even find an obituary about Marlene Hayes because the crime happened before internet was mainstream. Like now, if somebody dies, you can look up an obituary easily. I tried every combination of her personal information that I could and could not even find like an archived obituary. But her name is Marlene Hayes. I couldn't even find the name of her son or her husband. Okay. I was frustrated. But she was 38 years old and her and her husband owned a business. I got the feeling it was like a store or something like that. But again, I don't actually know. They had a business in the local Bel Air, Maryland area.
Mm-hmm.
And on March 17th, 1981, Marlene was not feeling very well. It was a Tuesday. And she decided to leave work early that day because she just wasn't feeling great. So she went home, parked her car in the driveway, and walked in her house. And the working theory is that she interrupted a burglary because she was attacked almost as soon as she walked in the house. Like she may have walked a few feet into their entryway, but then was attacked. And at around 3 p.m., her 16-year-old son got home from Bel Air High School and found her bound and dead on the floor. Her car was found a few miles away at William S. James Elementary School, and a suspect was seen by a witness, and a sketch was created, but no one, they were able to find that suspect. However,
Kind of like
although
the Delphi murders.
kind of, it's really like suspect. However, even though this is a cold case, it is an open case. This case has not been closed. The Harford County Sheriff Office in Maryland is determined to catch Marlene's killer. They're still, within the last few years, putting out tip lines and asking the public for help. They are reprocessing some of the evidence that was found at the scene because obviously technology has come a long way since 1981. Was what, 44 years ago?
Mm-hmm.
A lot has changed since then in the way that they do things. So they've been retesting some of the evidence that, fortunately, in this case, this is not a common thing, but fortunately, all of the evidence was properly collected and stored, so it is still viable. And if they find anything, it will be admissible in court.
That just means that it wasn't done by the police.
Fair. Fair. I get the feeling that this was a nicer, like, rural community kind of vibe. Like, it was a small town Mayberry kind of thing, from what I've read about it. So basically, what happened, as far as we know, again, this is all conjecture because it's not solved. Her older son, who was 16 years old, so she had a son younger than that as well, had gotten off the school bus at about 3 p.m., walked into the kitchen, which is that's where their entrance to their home is in the kitchen, and found his mother on the floor. Her ankles and her hands were bound. She had blunt force trauma to her head and had been stabbed. So I watched an interview with the detective who's currently working on this case, and he said that based on the crime scene photos and everything that they've learned, it looks like she walked into the house and was immediately hit in the head, and then there was a bit of a struggle. So she's further into the house than she was when she was initially attacked. But like, she walked in, she was hit in the head, and then tied up, and then she was stabbed. I'm guessing that there was a struggle, and they were eventually like, well, we can't leave her alive. She's fucking seen who we are, which also is giving they knew her.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Like,
It's somebody that she knew and she would have been able to identify is what it's giving. But I don't know, because it's unsolved. But the police, the operating theory is that she was supposed to be at work. They're business owners. They were probably at least middle class, which is also what makes me think it's somebody that knows them, because they knew that she was going to be at work, that no one was going to be at the house. And they probably knew that there was something there worth taking, right? Like, why else would you case this house?
Plus, if it was like a small town, they could have been targeted, like, for a while.
Right, exactly. And so this is one of those situations that, like, if one thing went differently that day, she would probably still be alive.
Yeah.
Like, she happened to get sick on the day that they were planning this robbery and happened to go home early that day. Like, this could have just been a robbery. She could have come home after work with her husband and their house was robbed, but everyone was alive. But no. That's not what happened. When they found her, she was still wearing her raincoat and like her shoes and all of that. She hadn't done all of the typical things that you do when you get home. She hadn't taken off her coat. She hadn't put her purse down. So that's why they're operating on that theory, that she came home and the burglars were already in the house, or the attackers were already in the house and attacked her. The detective that was on the case originally did not think that Marlene Hayes was targeted specifically, like, for a murder, but he did say that he thought that maybe the suspects knew that no one would be home, and so unfortunately, when she came in the house, they attacked her. Unfortunately, the news outlets did not say whether anything was taken or confirmed with that, because again, I'm sure the original news sources did, but I could not find any archived print newspapers or anything like that. I'm sure if I were local and could go to their library or something, I would be able to find more information about that. But from what I could find on the internet, there was no knowledge of what was stolen, what was missing. what happened to their other child, if their other child came home. And there was no interviews with the husband, which again, we all know that there definitely would have been. Who's the first person you suspect when a wife is murdered? The first person I question is always the husband. And I couldn't find any of that. Even on the Harford County Sheriff's page, the only thing on there is a cold case thing with a very generic blurb about the case. And then the tip line and all of that saying that the case is still very much open. But this could be like a freaking movie.
It
like,
honestly, it could be.
Like, I feel like I've watched this movie because I'm imagining like it's the 80s. So she's got, I should have pulled up a picture of her. She's got this big, like, beehive kind of hairdo.
Yeah.
And bright pink lipstick on, and she's
that
walking
is
in.
so the 80s.
Yes, and she's like walking in the house, and then she gets attacked, and I feel like this just writes itself. It's kind of awesome. But the Harford County Sheriff's Office does have a tip line. There is an anonymous tip. Well, they're both anonymous tip lines, but there is a one on their website where you can submit one through the internet, or you can call 410-838-6600 if you have any information that could help them solve this case. This website that I found is a news site. It's the Baltimore WMAR news site, and it has like a whole section of Maryland cold cases.
Well, that's pretty cool. Well,
It
not
really
cool,
but right. It sucks that there are so many. But it has a whole section of them and all the information about them, trying to obviously get answers for these families. But I just found the picture of her. It's taking forever to pull up, but I want to show you this picture of her because it's just great. I feel like I didn't describe it well. Here she is.
That's so crazy.
But yeah, she's got her big old hoop earrings on too. She just looks like a good time, man.
Yeah.
She looks like a really nice lady at a good time. And I think the other thing that really struck me about this one as I was reading, because I looked up multiple St. Patrick's Day cases, and this is the one I ultimately landed on. And I think the thing that stuck with me the most is when she died, she was only 5 years older than I am now. And that was kind of haunting. So I said, don't laugh at me. It's kind of crazy. Like, when you put yourself in the shoes, like, I have a lot more to do with my life. I'm not ready to die in 5 years.
Yeah.
Unless, I don't know, by the end of this 4-year term, I might be. But we'll see.
I know. I think I officially just got rid of one of my last MAGA family members.
Yeah.
Like, you don't think about it until like it they like pop up on your like your Facebook profile with some post, and you're like, now's the time. Got it. Okay,
yeah.
click.
Bye.
Yeah. And then like one of the posts was I wish we were back in the time that women didn't have colored hair, tattoos, or nose piercings. And I'm sitting there like, damn, that's me, bro. Fuck you.
Right. Okay. Fuck off.
Like, last time I saw you, I had bright ass blue hair with a nose piercing and tattoos. Like, fuck you, bro.
Right. Fuck off.
Damn.
Ugh.
But yeah, so I got rid of that one, and then I saw the mutual friends, not mutual friends, but I saw like his friends, and I was like, oh, I'm not friends with that person. I'm not friends with that person. I'm not friends with that one, or that one. I was like, cool. I don't have to worry about that.
Yeah, that's why I just got rid of my whole Facebook and Instagram, because I was like, I can't deal with these motherfuckers anymore.
Yeah.
And it's honestly been really freeing. But
I put on like a timer, so like as soon as like 7 p.m. hits, it's like a 12-hour timer. As soon as 7 p.m. hits, like Facebook locks down.
Yeah.
So, and as soon as that pops up, I'm like, okay. And then I go to do something else. I don't get off my phone, but I definitely get away from social media because I barely get on Instagram. I don't even really get on TikTok. Like, I don't get on any of that. So
yeah, I get on TikTok, but my TikTok is I'm very much on witch talk. And cats and birds for some reason. I have lots of videos of birds.
The one time I got on TikTok, like within the last week or two, I ended up getting on foster TikTok with like cats and dogs and animals and all that, and I got entwined with this like story about this person like fostering all like these whatever, and I kept looking and I was like, oh, how are they doing? Oh, look at these guys. And then I saw like a few really, really sad videos of like kittens not making it for one reason or another. And I was like, a few days. Yeah. And I was like, I was already emotional that day. I was already having a hard day. And Will sent me a TikTok to like brighten the mood. And then I just continued swiping afterwards. And then all of a sudden I was just like, and Will comes in and he goes, what's wrong? I was like, I got on a wrong TikTok page. I was like, well, there we go. That's how we do it. That's not how we do it. But that's what's happening. So
yeah, we did a little side quest there, but also I wanted to say, if anyone in Maryland has more information or a better news source about this case, please let us know. I would love to do an update with more information, especially about her as a person. Because trust me, I spent like an hour and a half scouring obituaries and newspapers in that area and could not find it. So if anyone does find it, let me know. We'll do an update on a future episode.
Especially if the killer was caught, because that's kind of what happened with it wasn't a cold case, but it was like a not going anywhere kind of case from Indiana. And then like all of a sudden they were like, oh, we found it.
Yeah, which I still question that, but yes, that's a whole other episode.
I mean, the dude didn't deny anything. Like if I was innocent, I'd be denying all up and down that thing. He wasn't denying anything.
It felt sketch. Something didn't feel right about that.
Oh, do you think he's like innocent or something?
I don't know. Or not the only one. I don't know. Like he wasn't alone in it. I don't know. Something didn't feel right about that.
Yeah. He's probably waiting at one end and then the trail camera just caught him on the other end. Yeah. Possibly. But I don't know. But until next time.
Bye.